filled with ad-free music made for everything you do. Mashup channels, workout channels, channels for parties, or just chilling out and more. Expertly curated for any mood, occasion, or activity. Extra channels let you discover new music and enjoy even more variety from every decade and music style you love. Plus, you can watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows with SiriusXM Video. And you can do it all along with listening in your car as part of our music and entertainment plan. Right now, we're offering SiriusXM subscription plans for as low as $6 a month, plus fees and taxes. Call 844-711-8800 to find out more about these amazing offers.
Gun. Pac, Dre, and Jay were taking hip-hop to a whole new level.
It was all a dream.
And everything was fly. Sirius XM Fly, a channel featuring hip-hop and R&B from the 90s and 2000s. To listen to Sirius XM Fly, activate your subscription now by calling 844-711-8800 or head over to SiriusXM.com to sign up quickly.
With the SiriusXM Platinum VIP plan, you can unlock the ultimate listening experience in up to 2 cars and stream anywhere with 2 app logins. Enjoy our greatest content, opportunities for live VIP experiences, and prioritized customer care. Plus, get access to over 5,000 audio and video concert recordings through nugs.net. Call 844-711-8800 and become a VIP. Offer details apply. Not available in Canada. Style and taste.
The crowd thought I was doing it on purpose. They was like, oh!
All-time comedy greats.
I think I just stumbled upon feminism.
And new voices working the clubs today.
I don't even know what it feels like to not have some lady be like, I don't know if I would do that.
Plus, exclusive stand-up specials you can only hear on SiriusXM.
Shorty shorts, a half shirt, bald cap. Man, I was looking good at the flea market.
Don't miss a minute of the best stand-up. Search comedy on the SiriusXM app.
You gotta get this. There you go now.
I think I'm
Oh, let's see. Let's see. You gotta get this. You gotta get this. Let's see.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624 or apply. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at EquityZoneMortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast.
Rondo Deportes, Bonjour, Vidi Vidi Vici, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo. Let's get ready to rumble! Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me, and people who love the universe. And that would include you. What a beautiful Monday, July 22nd, 2024. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sit you where the good Lord split you. Hopefully the good Lord didn't split you too wide, because that's what I hear. You need a wider belt, if that makes sense to you. I do want to say, I was taking some time to look at what's happening in the world of NFL football. There's a lot of good old boys that are getting ready for the training to open up. The OTAs are over. and now they're about to report to camp. They said, what's love got to do? The great Tina Turner said, what's love got to do with it? Well, Jordan Love, they're looking at not reporting to camp for the Green Bay Packers until they show him more love. They say love is a $60 million deal a year. That's a lot of money. To get someone $60 million a year, may lightning strike if you don't give him $60 million or he won't play. Out of Bakersfield, California, Liberty High School back in the day, went to Utah State. He was bypassed by USC, UCLA. He was bypassed by Cal, Stanford, Fresno State. And now he's about to sign us. They're saying could be $60 million a year. Green Bay, are y'all involved in mine? That's a lot of money for a kid that's 25 years old. He said he won't play for $50 million. You got to pay him at least $60 million if that makes sense. Yeah. What's the world coming to? I said, what's the world coming to? I'm always trying to do things to improve what I do with Big C Sports Podcast. I don't want to be your conventional sports program. I like to be unconventional, if that makes sense to you. So over the weekend, I was thinking about minding my own business, but I've been chanting and praying, something that I did a long time ago, and it actually made some things change in my life. My son was born after chanting and praying. It could have been other factors too, but I was asked to come to an event, kind of a meeting over the weekend, to get an introduction into Buddhism. And I've chanted before in the past. Everybody has their own way. I call it prayer. But one of the most significant attributes of Nichiren Buddhism is it's easily accessible to practice of chanting Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo. It's a profound yet simple method of Buddhist practice. It's the perfect Buddhist teaching for the modern world. So I believe in trying different things. I've tried it before, it didn't work. That didn't work for everything, but I don't mind trying different things as I approach Big C Sports Podcast. So I wanna make sure that I add the chant Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo. I'm gonna add it because I want to have fun to Big C Sports Podcast. Now I chant it over my winning lottery tickets. So don't somebody tell me I want winners. I want people who want to win. Now if someone says, well, it doesn't work that way. It does work that way. I'm going to test it out tonight. I got the winning Powerball numbers. It's 5, 6, 12, 20, 49. And the Powerball number is 24. Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo. Now, Big C, are you sure they can do it right now? Yeah, I'm going to try it right now. I told you the winning lottery numbers for Powerball. 5, 6, 12, 20, 49, 24. Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo. I'm going to do it. That's my story. I'm going to take it with it. Now, when I win, now everybody's going to try it. All's fair and level. Well, hey, you have not because you ask not. I always believe in asking. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. Man, you're giving out winning numbers, Big C? Yeah, I'm giving out the winning numbers. That's my story. And I'm sticking with it. If I turn on the light switch, I want it to work right now. Not 5 days from now. I mean, of course, 5 days too. But I want it to work right now. And some people say, well, don't put it to the test. I am putting it to the test because I believe in doing things right now. What the song say? Right here, right now. I don't know who sang it, but I know it was a good song. Okay, I produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter and lights. And then the commercials are done. The stats are provided. I even do the storytelling. And then I do the play-by-play. Up to the line of scrimmage. 1st and 10, 50-yard line. 4 wide outs. 5-man front. Love with the snap rolling to his right. Rolling. Throws downfield. It is caught. Caught by Big C for the touchdown. Touchdown. Big C Sports. Big C, are you sure? Yeah, I'm going out for the NFL also. For another word. And then the show's uploaded to 29 podcast platforms out of New York City and streaming on 4 TV platforms on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. And then I never missed a show since starting Big C Sports with the crew back in the day. I never missed a show. And now they got people not reporting to practice. I'm not talking about the game. I'm talking about practice. Jordan Love said he's not reporting to practice unless they give him $60 million. And as I say, I'm not chanting anymore unless I win that $90 billion or $90 million tonight with Big C's Sports Podcast. Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo. And I'm not afraid to try it. I believe in trying things. I gotta say, I got some stuff to talk about on Big C's Sports Podcast. What I do, and I do it right now, right here, right now. I don't need a week to do it. I'm going to do it right now. I love paying homage to the Veterans Crisis Hotline because a mind is a terrible thing to waste, and they really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. Anybody going through issues, pick up the phone, call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255, or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give it some praise. Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo. I believe in doing things right now. You want it to work? Let it work now. I already told you the winning Powerball number is 5, 6, 12, 20, 49. Powerball number 24. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I believe in doing things right now, if that makes sense to you. I do want to say, at the same time, if you know of people who are going through issues, that Veterans Crisis Hotline, it can work. It really can. That's why they use it for the military. And obviously, I'm going to talk about some politics that came up too. But I want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. And then God said, let there be light. So I don't mind chanting Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo. I believe in putting things to the test. Like right now, I put it to the test. I'm going to tell you what I also believe in putting to the test. I have a commercial. It's actually more like an infomercial that I've been working on. And I want to make sure, as I'm reading this book called Don't Butcher Yourself by John Taffer. It says, crush the excuses that are holding you back. And I want to crush the excuse that are holding me back because I should have at least $100 million. I've been saying it for a long time, and I'm talking to God about it. I ain't talking to nobody else. Well, Big C, people might accuse you of using God. I want to ask God for favor because the things I want to do, it should have already happened for me, and I don't mind saying that. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. May lightning strike! I always love putting it to the test right now. You got to put things to the test. Don't wait. Don't wait. Do it now. What they say, do it now. I believe in saying do it now. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. So I'm hoping that people can understand. I'm working on this infomercial because they say faith comes by hearing. And I believe just like you learn your ABCs, you can learn asset protection. I got a call today. A lady looking for to trust. If that makes sense to you, a guide to protect, preserve, and transfer wealth. Resource Development Consulting, Inc., in conjunction with the law office of Scott Thibodeau and attorney George Jones, The Missing Link, Long-Term Care Solutions by the book, over 3 decades of experience helping seniors and their loved ones get benefits. In California, it's called Medicare and You, and also Taking Care of Tomorrow. In California, it's called Medi-Cal. Other places called Medicaid, if that makes sense to you. Long-term care solutions by the book. Your family and spouse can avoid the spend down. Ew, that's amazing. For nursing home costs, you can find out your options. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. And you can do it now. I said right now, right here, right now. Our promise to you, specialized to navigate and maximize long-term care benefits, protection of your assets without a spend down. All paperwork and communication with all government agencies are handled by a staff of entitlement specialists. Not only that, ongoing consulting to provide updates as necessary, benefits covering skilled nursing facilities, prescription medications, medical equipment costs, and more. But not only that, have you ever known anyone to deal with skilled nursing facilities? Have you ever known anyone to deal with medical prescriptions? You know, like the ones you took this morning. Have you ever known anyone to deal with medical equipment costs and more? Not only that, protection of your assets. I believe in saying that. You know, I'm a Trekkie. I watched a lot of Star Trek, and I watched a lot of Star Wars growing up. And what I heard over the years is if the USS Starship Enterprise on a 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds and seek out new civilizations, and to boldly go where no man had gone before, they landed strike. As they went in the warp drive, it sounded like lightning taking off, if that makes sense to you. And so they were out there cruising among the galaxies, and they came up on this black planet. And Captain Kirk said, that doesn't look like a planet to me. And Scotty said, oh, it's just a black planet. And Scotty and Spock and Scotty and Captain Kirk, they were talking. And Captain Kirk said, well, maybe we should raise the shields. And Captain Kirk told Scotty and Spock. And then Spock and Scotty said, well, it's just a planet. It's just a black planet. And then Captain Kirk said, are you out of your Vulcan mind? And on the Death Star, it was Darth Vader. He said, join the dark side. He was talking to Scotty, Spock, and Captain Kirk, but he was using his mind. He was using the Force. And then Captain Kirk said, Scotty, raise the shield. He said, why? It's just a dark planet. And Captain Kirk said, Scotty, are you out of your Vulcan mind? And then on the Darth Star, it was Darth Vader said, I am your daddy, Captain Kirk. Do not raise those shields. And Captain Kirk said, how do you know my name is Captain Kirk? He said, I'm using the Force. Do not raise those shields. And then Captain Kirk said, Scotty, raise the shield. He said, but Captain, he told us don't do it. He said he's your daddy. And Captain Kirk says, Scotty, are you out of your Vulcan mind? So they raised the shields before the death clock could strike. And they moved the warp drive and they got away. Because he had to trust. He trusted his instinct. You got to trust that we can help you protect your assets, if that makes sense to you, including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family, avoiding the nightmare of debt brought by the government estate relief program. The estate recovery program can be up to 40%. You got to have a will and a trust. In fact, if you don't have a will, the probate court will have one for you, and you will not like it. They'll come after all your assets. Scotty, raise the shields. Are you out of your Vulcan mind? You don't have a trust. A one-time processing fee versus monthly insurance premiums for the rest of your life. And that's my addition for Star Trek 29, because I know they got another one coming, if that makes sense. If not Star Trek 29, Star Wars 29. I want to say, what does a trust do? It protects. It's a protection. Like the Scotty says, Scotty, raise the shields. It's a protection for your assets. We provide insurance coverage required by a law, general liability, workers' compensation, lawyers specializing in living trust, Medicaid or Medi-Cal planning for long-term care, avoid probate. We have life insurance, veterans benefits, aid and attendance, pre-planning, and avoid the look-back period. It protects your fixed assets. Your bank account, your checking account, your savings account, money market account, certificate of deposit, life insurance with the cash values, your fixed indexed annuities. It also protects your variable assets, your real estate, your qualified money, IRAs, 401ks, and other investments. Avoid capital gains. Let's say you buy a house for $100,000. Where can I buy that house, Big C? Well, let me finish telling the story. And say in 1 year later, it appreciates to $1 million. Well, that's a $900,000 capital gains, and a lot of real estate brokers tell you what they got to tell you to make a sell nowadays. You avoid capital gains when you have a trust over 3 decades of experience. Attention business owners. Attention business owners. Attention business owners. Put your assets in a trust. You can find out your other options to protect what your insurance does not cover. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. And people say, well, why would we go to you, Big C? Well, I'm glad you asked. Whenever someone says do business with me, it's a smart question to ask them, well, who's already done business with you? Can you give me some references? Well, you don't need no references. Just trust me. No pun intended. Just trust me. Well, you don't have to trust anything. We're the only company, maybe one of the only companies in the universe. We will give you the references up front. We have the endorsement of the late James Gomez, who advised 4 governors in California. He led change in California nursing homes. He even served on Golden One's board of directors. The late Jim Gomez, CEO of California Association of Health Facilities, and he did this thing for over 21 years. He endorsed the RDC team. That makes sense. We also have the endorsement of the late Robert Carlson, who was the top legal mind of CalPERS in California. He endorsed the RDC team. But not only that, we have Mr. George Jones, Esquire. He's the chairman of the California Black Chamber of Commerce. Not only that, the California Black Chamber of Commerce Foundation. Not only that, we have Mr. Leon Woods, works with RDC, works with many of the top lobbyists. in California. Not only that, we have Miss Cheryl Brown. She's the chair of the California Commission on Aging. But not only that, we have Mr. Ray De La Cruz. He's the CEO of Resource Development Consulting, been doing his thing over 34 years. But not only that, we have Mr. Alex De La Cruz. He's the founder of American Veteran Benefits, been doing his thing with the RDC team. But not only that, we have Charlton Curry, co-chair of the National Black Wall Street Project. Not only that, a consultant, business development consultant with the RDC team. Not only that, owner of Big C Sports Podcast, the #1 sports show in the universe. Not only that, we have Double O, the PAP Committee for the National Black Wall Street Project. Not only that, it has our own economics awareness talk show called Let's Eat. You can hear it by Googling Access Sacramento. And not only that, she's also a consultant with the RDC team. And I really do give us all praise. Give us all praise. You can even chat. Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo. I believe in doing things the Big C Sports way. There's more than one way to skin a cat. That's my story. And I'm sticking with it. I want to tell you, I think I'm on the only sports show in the universe that champions reparations. And I got to tell you, we all know that President Biden, United States of America, 46th president, decided to step aside and turn the power over to Vice President Kamala Harris, who will most likely become the Democratic nominee for the presidential election in 2024. And I hope she's prescient on reparations. And then Donald Trump, the Republican nominee for the presidency of 2024, even with all the 34 counts against him and grabbing women by the bootstraps and telling the Central Park 5 he want them to have the death penalty and they were innocent. But to some people that doesn't matter. And then telling women you have no rights over sovereignty over your body, and some people don't even know what sovereignty is. So they say, well, that sounds good to me. And my great-grandchildren and my great-granddaughters, that sounds good to me. Until they Google what sovereignty is. You got to understand there's no diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Take your head out of your assets, if that makes sense to you. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I want to talk to you about the reparations, the task force in California, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. People have their own thoughts. Nixie, why you talk so much about reparations? Well, I think I got a call from the Associated Press. Who's the Associated Press? It's the #1 media outlet in the United States. They called me. It was last year. It was back. You can print the story was printed. It was March 29th, 2023. It was Janie Hart, the Associated Press. I heard ring, ring. Hello, this is Charlton. How can I help you? She said, is this Charlton? I said, yes, this is Charlton. How can I help you? She said, this is Janie Hart, the Associated Press. I said, how'd you get my number? She said, we have our ways. I said, well, how can I help you? She said, I heard you talk about at the Reparations Task Force, and I wanted to get your thoughts. I said, if you heard me speak, you know my thoughts. I said, reparations now, reparations forever. That's what I believe. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. But she asked me about it, my thoughts on reparations, and I'm a sports talk show. That's like God telling you something. Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that reparations is top of the mind, just like when President Abraham Lincoln gave reparations to the descendants of chattel slavery in the Emancipation Proclamation signed by executive order. But white people got the reparations. They didn't give it to the black people. They were stolen. President Andrew Johnson, he vetoed the bill. That's a shame. And the country's never atoned for it. But I'm going to do my part because America's a great place. The land of the free and the home of the brave. And we want to do the right thing. I believe people will do the right thing. That's my story. And I'm sticking with it. But at the same time, a lot of people may not even know what the California Reparations Task Force is. As I tell you, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. I'm going to always champion it on the Big C Sports Podcast because that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I know we're getting ready for football to kick off. We're getting ready for the Olympics to start off in Paris. But I want to champion this message for reparations. It's important to me. It is important to our country. It's important that we figure out how the Homestead Act robbed African Americans. It robbed us. It gave white people over 300 million acres of land. And even white Europeans. They didn't give it to black Americans. From cradle to grave, 1619 to 1865. Couldn't even earn $1. Were lynched, raped, murdered, sold off, families broken up by this great country. You would think a decent person would say, you know what? Let's honor what President Abraham Lincoln did. Let's at least repairing. And that's what I'm championing for. I don't know any person that would say no. We want the same thing that the Just Act does for descendants of Holocaust, put together by the United States government, Department of Justice, and also the German government. They made sure it happened. Also, Japanese Americans got reparations for the internment camps. We give that praise. And Native Americans, whenever you go out and gamble, you go out to one of the reservations where they have gaming casinos now. That's part of the reparations. We deserve it too. So that's my story. I'm sticking with it. I'm going to give praise to the inimitable Dr. Shirley Weber, the Secretary of the State of California. I love giving her praise. I'm going to give praise to also California Governor Gavin Newsom. I want to give him praise. A lot of talk about the political world is changing right now. I want to give him praise for that. I want to give praise to, they mandated the task force. I want to give praise to the chair, Camila Moore. She's the chair, and she's an attorney that focuses on reparative justice. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Amos C. Brown. He's the vice chair of the Reparations Task Force. I want to give him praise. He also appeared on the Big C Sports podcast last month, 2 months ago. I want to give praise to California Senator Stephen Bradford. He's a brilliant man. I love giving him praise. He's also helped create name, image, and likeness where college student athletes get paid. Because of him, he helped craft that bill. He also crafted the bill called the Ebony Alert that helps law enforcement put the same amount of resources into finding missing black children that the Amber Alert puts into finding missing white children. And he also speaks to the California Senate on reparations. It's like Moses when he came down that mountain and God told Moses, he said, go down into Egypt and tell Pharaoh to let my people go. And Moses said to God, he said, who do I tell him sent me? And God said, tell him I am sent you. And that's what he did. It was like Senator Bradford did the same thing for the California Senate and the California legislature. God talked to Senator Bradford, and he said, go down into the state capitol and tell those senators and legislators to pass reparations. And Senator Bradford said to God, he said, who do I tell him sent me? And God said, tell him I am sent you. And then he went down there, and he's been winning vote after vote after vote. Good people will help things happen in this country. Reparations will stimulate the American economy. Can you imagine stimulating the American economy for descendants of child slavery the same way it was stimulated for white Americans during the Homestead Act of 1862? Can you imagine the way Europe was stimulated, the economy, after it was rebuilt through the Marshall Plan? No one complained. People go to Europe on vacation now. It was bummed out. But the United Nations, along with the United States government, they rebuilt Europe. No one complained. Rebuild the nation for descendants of child slavery. Imagine what you can do when you put your mind to doing the right thing. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I love giving Senator Bradford praise. I want to give praise to Council Member Monica Montgomery Stepp. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Shell Grills. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to her attorney, Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, professor at California, Berkeley. He's brilliant. I want to give him praise. I love giving praise to Donald K. Tamaki, attorney at law. He also, Japanese American, has received reparations from the United States government for the Japanese internment camp. I said, give them all praise. Give them praise, praise, praise. Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo. I'm using everything. Just like Captain Kirk. He said, fire everything. When the Death Star was trying to get the Enterprise, he had to save their assets. And I'm going to do the same thing for descendants of child slavery. All good people are welcome to join. I said all good people are welcome to join. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always tell you, I want to make sure it's not just my words. I want you to hear to the best speaker in the history of the universe as he talks about reparations. That way it's not just Big C Sports. It's good people. You know, decent people. You know, you people. When you hear the push for doing the right thing, I want to also say thoughts and prayers are United States Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, as she passed away last week. Thoughts and prayers are with her family. But she stood for H.R. 40. I want you to hear also who she was championing after for reparations.
Martin Luther King, we had a conversation a couple days ago about handouts and how these right-wing memes, these Republican memes, have infiltrated the Democratic debate to suggest that, you know, ending welfare as we know it, all those kind of things are somehow, great and noble things, when we're not dealing with the underlying problem, which is that there's no economic opportunity there because of insane trade policies and because of Reaganomics. And Martin Luther King spoke to this. Jim and Shane, this is clip number 4. Martin Luther King spoke to this sometime back in the early 60s. And I thought this was a really interesting quote. Here he is.
The problem. At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today, many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with. And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
From his speech, The Two Nations of Black America. And it's absolutely brilliant. And the next time some white person talks about, well, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps and my family did too, especially the Bundy boys. I mean, here's Martin Luther King, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., talking about how basically whites stole the West from the Indians with the complete, and didn't just steal it. I mean, murdered them he murdered the Indians in the process, and did not give any of these benefits to African Americans for 100 years in this country. It's a strong case for reparations or some variation on it, for rebuilding our cities, for doing right after having done wrong for so many centuries. It is a very, very strong case for that.
Reparations now! Reparations forever! I love seeing reparations. It's the right thing to do, especially when you see how President Joe Biden stepping aside. Kamala Harris has a chance for descendants of child slavery to get the right things done. And I believe that will be part of what she talks about for her march for the White House. And maybe even President Trump will talk about the same thing. They did the same thing, the Just Act for descendants of Holocaust. And you would think that Kamala Harris, her husband, also Jewish descendant, he would understand what the Just Act did for descendants of Holocaust. And I believe they would push for descendants of child slavery to have the same thing. Milagro strike! Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo. I'm doing everything I can to do my part with Big C Sports Podcast. Yeah, I don't want to be like everybody else. I want to be different. It's good being different, if that makes sense to you, because I believe there's enough good people in this country that want to do the right thing for everybody in this country. That's my straight up thinking with it. Well, now that you know who I am, I want to tell you NFL training camp is here. And there are a lot of people that want to know what's going on in the world of NFL training camp. We know NFL is the biggest sport in the United States. Worldwide, maybe soccer is, but in the United States, it's definitely football, and that's why I want to make sure that I do my part to champion. So they got some NFL training camp in 2024. Football sabbatical is over. Players are reporting. Some players are reporting, and practices are starting in earnest. And at training camp, this is where the preseason starts, and jobs are won or they're lost. You have young players, the nouveau riche players, that can put a stamp on their future, and then veteran players try to fend off the challenges of rookies, and then coaches push to find the best 53 players to open the season. When you think about that, only 32 teams in the NFL, and they have 53 players. It's a tough business. It's a bruised business where people get bruised up, all strand level work. I'll just get into a few things with NFL football Aiden O'Connell versus Gardner Minshew. When you look at the Las Vegas Raiders at quarterback, it's looking like one of the true veterans versus veteran quarterback battle of the 2024 training camp. And then O'Connell starts camp with a toenail of a head to start. The coach Antonio Pierce indicated that he liked to take first snaps of the competition. Gardner Minshew out of Washington State was inked in to be a bridge quarterback. The money in his history suggests the front office believes that he can be a starter for at least some time. He's a good player, just needs to get that system. And then we go across the country. The Buffalo Bills, when you look at what's intriguing in their camp, Buffalo completely revamped the receiver core with Khalil Shakur being the only remaining holdover who logged significant playing time with the team in 2023. And then there are questions abound for his group. And then can Keon Coleman be a true number one out of the gate? Only 6 second-round picks have ever passed the 1,000-yard mark in their rookie season, the last being the great A.J. Brown in 2019. So we'll see how those two guys can challenge. You know, Josh Allen can put the ball on the money, and he's going to have to do that this year to give Buffalo that chance to be what people thought they could be over the last couple of seasons, which is a Super Bowl contender. I want to go back to the West Coast, and you have the Los Angeles Chargers. The lightning bolts, may lightning strike with the great Jim Harbaugh. But it doesn't appear to be a clear alpha in the group. 2024 second-round pick Ladd McConkey could easily lead the Chargers in targets. How does Quentin Johnston rebound from a bad rookie campaign? And can Josh Palmer be more than a wide receiver number 3 spot? How much does DJ Chark on his 14 in 3 years have left in the tank? We will find out. You know, Justin Herbert got a lot of money to put the ball in the hands of receivers who can take it the distance, like the great Daniel Coryell back in the day of the San Diego Chargers with Dan Fouts. He just passed it on first. It's 4th and goal from the 1-yard line. Coryell says, pass it! He wants to pass it, and Herbert's going to have to pass it. He's going to have to pass it often for the Chargers to have a winning season. And then I'm going to swing to the Midwest. You have the defending Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs. When you look at their left tackle position, Wyner Morris versus Kingsley Sumatia might have this higher than it should be. Patrick Mahomes, he makes his blockers better, but the uncertainty at this crucial spot on the line as they start heading into camp, Patrick Mahomes can buy time. But can the offensive lineman block and prepare time for him? He's not a stationary quarterback, so oftentimes you have to block on the move without holding, if that makes sense to him. Now, Morris is a second-year pro. He started 4 games as a rookie with mixed results, allowing 20 pressures and those tips with 2 sacks. You think about that. You got to be better when Patrick Mahomes, you just got to hold your man. I mean, not hold him literally, but keep your eye on your man and give touchdown Patrick Mahomes time to shine, if that makes sense to you. And then we swing back to the East Coast, the Washington Commanders. They have left tackle Cornelius Lucas versus Brandon Coleman versus Trent Scott. The biggest question entering this season is blocking in front of Jaden Daniels, particularly on his blind side. Lucas, an 11-year pro, he figured to have a leg up, having started 31 games in 4 years in Washington, D.C. He also started just 4 games last season on one of the worst lines in the league, so they're going to have to find some time to get their quarterback the chance to throw the ball, if that makes sense to you. I want to swing to Philadelphia. Well, actually, I'm going to swing to Pennsylvania. The Pittsburgh Steelers, under coach Mike Tomlin, who's never missed a playoff series, and I believe going on year 16. But who's their number 2 wide receiver? You won't see Steelers quarterback on this list because everything out of Pittsburgh suggests there won't be a true battle. It appears to be Russell Wilson's job unless he falls apart. As much sense as it might make on a national level to pitch Wilson versus Justin Fields, well, Justin came out of the good old boys, the Big Ten at Ohio State, went to Chicago Bears. They didn't really develop him as a passer. He was a great runner. I still think Wilson, who came out of Wisconsin, and people know that back in the day, played at Seattle and won a Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks, went to another Super Bowl. But obviously, the veteran leadership, it escaped him when he went to Denver. I'm not going to say it's all his fault. He may find better passers in Pittsburgh. Justin Fields versus Wilson, not going to be a battle at all. That's Wilson's job to keep, if that makes sense to you. And you know, Mike Tomlin, he believes in having a strong running game with Najee Harris. I got to go to the Green Bay Packers. I talked about Jordan Love that came out of Liberty High School in Bakersfield, went to Utah State. He backed up touchdown Aaron Rodgers for many, many moons, but now he's ready. He has to have a good right guard to keep him protected. You got Jordan Morgan, Sean Runyon, and then Jacob Monk. The big question is whether the Packers staff wants to get Morgan a first-round pick onto the field early in his rookie season, or if they want to just be comfortable with him as a swing tackle with future plans to be a starter. We will see, but they got to keep Love. They got to keep Love on his feet and not on his back, if that makes sense to you. I want to swing over to Carolina. The Carolina Panthers. This is a team that's rebuilding, but you got to look at their running back. I still like Bryce Young as a quarterback there. Carolina spent the offseason stocking up on a backfield that the previous administration already poured resources into. 2021 fourth rounder Chuba Hubbard outplayed free agent acquisition Miles Sanders last year. The new brass, the general manager Dan Morgan, and head coach Dave Canales drafted Jonathan Brooks in the second round. We will see what happens. They got to keep that offense going strong, and then it's just a matter of how can they keep Bryce Young from being sacked so many times the way it was last year. I want to swing down south where the gumbo is really good, from what I understand, and New Orleans. Some people call that Nolans. You got a left guard. Can Derek Carr stay off his back? Well, left guard tackle spots are set in stone. You got to realize that they're not set in stone. It's a competition. But the expectation is that rookie Talise Fugger starts at 1, and the former first rounder Trevion Penning gets every chance to earn a starting job, if that makes sense to you. At the same time, Penning ultimately may end up to be seen on the season. The key question is left guard. Options include second-year pro Nick Soldeveri, who played just 16 offensive snaps last year. We will see if he can earn that starting job to keep Carr off of his backside, if that makes sense to him. I want to swing to the Mile High City, the Denver Broncos quarterback. You have Bo Nix that came out of Oregon by way of Auburn, and then Jarrett Stidham versus Zach Wilson. I like to say maybe Stidham gets the start. Zach Wilson also came out of BYU, but Bo Nix, he may need a year to sit the bench. Had a dynamic year at Oregon. I got to run through the rookies battling for signal calling jobs during camp, and right now, it seems that Sean Payton has gussed about Bo Nix since the draft. It seems likely the rookie will get the chance to earn that starting job, but he has to earn it on the field. Still, the Broncos split first-team reps this offseason, meaning Stidham has a shot to open the season as a starter. It's just a matter of who the coach wants to go with, and we will find out. At the same time, I want to go to the East Coast. The New England Patriots, no longer Bill Belichick, we're just going to play good sound fundamental football. Now you got the New England Patriots quarterback. They didn't have this spot for 18 seasons under the great Tom Brady. Now you have Jacoby Brissett. At the same time versus Drake May. May moved up to the number 2 spot during the mini-cap, giving him a slight chance to unseat Brissett. And slight odds remain in favor of the Patriots beginning of the season with Brissett under center, and I think they should before transitioning their quarterback of the future. That's my opinion. I'm sticking with it. I got to go to the Midwest, the land of the Great Lakes, the Minnesota Vikings at quarterback. They didn't have this problem when they had Fran Tarkenton, who went to 4 Super Bowls with the Minnesota Vikings. The great Sam Darnold out of USC, and then J.J. McCarthy came out of Michigan. Kevin O'Connell made it clear that Darnold is in the driver's seat for the starting gig. Nothing that happened during the offseason workouts indicated that McCarthy has more than a puncher's chance to win the Week 1 job. Still, the rookie quarterback is worth taking a look at, and they got to see how well Darnold plays. I think Darnold's going to earn that starting job. I want to swing you out to the West Coast. You get the Los Angeles Chargers. The Los Angeles Chargers, they should be a dynamic offense, but you know Harbaugh likes to run the ball too. Running back Gus Edwards versus J.K. Dobbins versus Kamani Badal. Back to Los Angeles, where the backfield pecking order is worth watching. Edwards is in line to start, but he has never been a high-volume runner. Dobbins is more talented, but health is the biggest question for the runner who played 9 games in the past 3 seasons. You know, Harbaugh likes to pound on the rock, if that makes sense to him. Helped Michigan win a national championship last year, pound on the rock. I got to swing back to the Midwest. The Cincinnati Bengals, you have the quarterback. Who's quarterback number 2? Is it Dak Hill versus DJ Turner II? Cincinnati moved Hill from safety to corner, where he'll battle his former college teammate Turner for the spot opposite Cam Taylor-Britt. Hill had a rocky go at safety last season, so the Bengals, they look at safety Geno Stone and then Von Bell in free agency. We'll see what happens because they will get a chance to compete for the jobs. We will see what happens for the good old boys in Cincinnati. I want to go down south for quarterback number 2, this great city of Houston, Texas. And then you have Jeff Oduga and C.J. Henderson, also Kamari Lassiter, another cornerback battle for a spot alongside an established player in Derek Stingley Jr., broke out last season as a true cornerback number one. The question is, who will be the other man on the other side of the field? The corner spot. Uduka, Henderson, and Lassiter, a second-round pick in April, all should get a shot at the job. It's about playmakers. They want guys who can make plays. Big-time players make big-time plays because their offense with C.J. Stroud would be dynamic for Houston. I want to run it up to the great North, the land of the frozen tundra, even though they play in a dome. Detroit Lions, they had Jared Goff last year, had a dynamic breakout season as a quarterback out of Moraine Catholic High School in Kentville, California, north of the Bay Bridge, and then went to Cal Berkeley, played for the Rams, and now he's doing his thing in Detroit. Detroit made big investments in the secondary this offseason. How will playing time shake out? Trade acquisitions, Clifton Davis is set at one corner spot. Other jobs to look at, you got to look at everything. It seems to be revolving around Brian Branch and how he's utilized. If he's at safety next to Kirby Joseph, that opens up a slot for reps of Emmett Robertson. I got to look at this team in Detroit. They're going to challenge Green Bay for that division. Detroit, it's hard to see them going back-to-back because it was new last year. They got to prove it twice. If we want to put a lot of stake in them, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I got to go back to the Pittsburgh Steelers at right tackle. You have Troy Fontenot versus Dan Moore Jr. The expectation is that Broderick Jones flips the starting left tackle job, leaving Moore and first-round pick Fontenot to battle for the right tackle. No matter who they have, Russell Wilson can buy you time because he's a Houdini in the backfield. That makes sense to you. We'll see what happens with Najee Harris having a good year. Maybe he'll be another 1,000-yard running back, and that will help the offensive line because Wilson's a dynamic quarterback. I want to swing to the Midwest. The Indianapolis coach at wide receiver, Adonai Mitchell versus Alec Pierce. Now, the glowing reports out of Indy have been steady. Since the coach drafted Mitchell in the second round, the rookie skill set seems to mesh well with Michael Pittman Jr. and then Josh Downs. How much pushback will come from Pierce, a former second-round pick himself? It's easy to pencil in Mitchell right now, but Pierce, it's about big-time players making big-time plays. We will see what happens as they get ready to start the kickoff. I'm going to go down south, the Tennessee Titans at right tackle. After a bad 2023 campaign along the line, Tennessee once again attempting to solve problems up front. Nicholas Pitt-Ferry has started experience but played just 3 games last year. Leroy Watson IV was the all-line coach of Bill Callahan in Cleveland, which could prove an advantageous spot for him. Others like Jalen Duncan and Jerron Christian, who was also in Cleveland for a spell last season. We'll see what happens with that good old boy offensive line down in Tennessee now that they don't have Henry running the ball out of the backfield. I want to go to the Philadelphia Eagles, the cornerback spot. Much like Detroit, Philadelphia made some major investments to address problems in the secondary. Darius Slay and Avonte Maddox are likely locked in as starters. The question is how the rest of the group sorts itself out. And does Quinion Mitchell win the starting gig? How does Isaiah Rodgers look after serving a year-long suspension for violating NFL's gambling policy? 800 Gambler, if you have a problem keeping your money in your wallet, 800 Gambler. I want to say how will Vic Fangio handle the secondary unit during the camp will be fascinating. I want to swing it out to the West Coast in the Golden State. In them their heels, bang, bang, 9 again, the San Francisco 49ers. They got to figure out the wide receiver spot. Ricky Pershaw versus Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings is a solid player. Pershaw started camp on the active non-football injury list, but NFL insider report, the first-round pick is not dealing with any major ailments. Jennings impressed during the postseason, which would imply that he's in line for the slot work. However, Kyle Shanahan has gushed about Pershaw since the Niners selected him. We will see what happens. We know they got to figure out what Brandon Ayuk trade. If they're going to keep Brandon Ayuk, I think they should keep Brandon Ayuk. But it's going to hang over the team for a while. Deebo Samuels might be their best receiver. But we will see what happens. They got McCaffrey still running the football. Jennings is the number 3 right now. But I'm intrigued by what they're going to do under Shanahan's offense. I got to go down south. How about those Cowboys? The Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys wide receiver number 3. Will that get us $60 million? We will see. Dallas did little to upgrade its roster in free agency and did not add a receiver until the 6th round of the draft. Ryan Flanoy and also Michael Gallup going via free agency after an ineffective year in Dallas. Dallas is once again set to lean heavily on CeeDee Lamb and 30-year-old Brandon Cook. They have a good enough team They have good enough quarterback. Will they get past the first round this year if they make the playoffs? I think they're a playoff team, of course, and I think they'll get past the first round with Dak Prescott. I got to go back up north to that frozen tundra, even though it's not frozen this time of year. The Green Bay Packers quarterback number 2, Carrington Valentine, enters camp as a likely starter across from Jaire Alexander after flashing for spells as a 7th-round rookie last season. However, it would not be a surprise to see the Packers brass give Eric Stokes a chance to win back the gig after playing just 12 games. In the past 2 years, Stokes finally looks really healthy. Coach Matt LaFleur has his choices to make. I want to stay in the same division, the Detroit Lions. Their kicker. Does Dan Campbell trust the bigger leg Jake Bates after he bombed field goals in the USFL? Does Dan Campbell stick with Michael Bagley or simply continue to use the long kicks in favor of going for it? Many people put their money on the latter, if that makes sense to you. Dan Campbell would make that choice. I got to tell you, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it for some of the NFL players and teams. What are they going to do? I got a thought here. In 2024, the number 1 challenge facing each team. Will number 1 overall pick Caleb Williams out of USC? Will he live up to the hype in Chicago? I think he will, but it may take 5 or 6 games. It's hard to come off of a college roster and walk into the NFL and take over. But I think they give him 5 or 6 games because he's dynamic, a lot like Patrick Mahomes, but he got to have that maturity. And will the team fight for him? We will see. Can the Jets' refurbished offensive line come together to protect touchdown Aaron Rodgers? With training camps beginning across the NFL, you got to realize these players got to find their groove right away. The NFL is not like college where you can redshirt. You got to get in there and play. But I want to also bring back to the West Coast and the 49ers. Brandon Ayuk, where does he fit? There's 5 potential landing spots after San Francisco's receivers trade request. It's all about money. He needs to stay in San Francisco. This team went to the Super Bowl last year. They had the lead until they went to overtime against the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. And they lost in overtime. In the wake of Brandon Ayuk's trade request, Bucky Brooks identifies 5 potential team fits for the star. But I think San Francisco is number 1 fit. Get the contract signed. Keep the man happy. You got a team that has maybe another year to challenge for a Super Bowl because you can only have so many chances knocking on the door. And they've been to 2 Super Bowls in the last 4 seasons. They may make their 3rd Super Bowl trip in the last 5. The state of the Kansas City Chiefs touchdown Patrick Mahomes and company. We don't know. Can they three-peat? It's never happened in the NFL to three-peat. We've had 2 peats, but 3 peats have not existed. Is Kansas City poised to win a 3rd straight Super Bowl? And what are the factors in the Chiefs' pursuit of this unprecedented feat? I'm telling you, if you have touchdown Patrick Mahomes, you always have a chance. They got to stay healthy, but they will be targeted by everyone, and Kansas City's not going to go undefeated. So don't worry about that. It's not going to happen when they go undefeated, but they do have a chance to make some noise, and that's what I want to say. Give them all praise. No matter what you think about NFL football, it's getting ready to step off. Or should I say getting ready to kick off. Dallas Cowboys training camp. You got to think the NFL training camp is upon us, and the Dallas Cowboys is always talk about Dak Prescott. Is Dak going to win? This is a team that's won 12 games in each of the last 3 years. Will it be 4? With Dak Prescott at the helm. They blame him when they lose. He doesn't get the credit when they win as much as he should. McCarthy also under the I don't want to say under the, he's kind of on the hot seat in Dallas. But all they do is win. Yeah, they got I guess sidetracked when they lost to Green Bay in the playoffs. But they're still a great team. They're a team that people will look at. Whatever happens in Dallas is big, especially when Jerry Jones is out there championing for his team. Well, that's my story, and I stick it with it. You got to give it some praise. Football is back. I said football is back. Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo. I told you I was invited to a Buddhist meeting over the weekend, and I had a great time. I learned a lot of things, and I learned chanting Powerball number tonight, 5, 6, 12, 20, 49, Powerball 24. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Big C, are you out there working, man? I believe in putting things to the test. Whenever you want something to work, you want to turn on the light switch, you want it to work right now. right here, right now. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. So I put my money where my mouth is. I said I was going to use that chant for the Powerball number tonight. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always tell you on every Big C Sports podcast, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink, because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You could call Uber, you could call Lyft, you could walk it off, you can sleep it off, but don't let someone you love get behind the wheel of a car and start driving after they've been drinking. The life you say may be your own, or someone you love, or someone who loves you, or someone that someone else loves. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I love saying, my beautiful mother always says, there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that crap on their own. If somebody's slapping you, I only slapped you because it made me mad. Call 911. If somebody's kicking you, I only kicked you because it made me mad. Call 911. If somebody's choking you out, I only choked you because it made me mad. Pick up the phone and call 911. Anyone who loves you, they don't hurt you. They don't punch you. They don't kick you. They don't beat you. You need more leader in your life. Leader is an acronym for love is the answer. Don't ever let someone do that to you or someone you love. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I want to always tell you this song that I have is about my family legacy. I love paying homage to my beautiful family legacy. On my mother's side, started with my great-grandparents, Mama and Pop. They were wonderful people. Pop was a baseball player, and Mama was a seer. I love them with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my grandparents, Muddia and Hezekiah, beautiful, loving people. I love them with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. They can see things in people oftentimes by looking at them. They can tell you a lot about their past, their present, and their future. And then I can always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Started a Head Start program, a food program, and also coached an all-boys Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. Always saying rise and shine. The best person I ever met in my life. I love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Mama, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then on my father's side, my grandparents, Albert and Alberta Curry, they own 3 churches. And then they also own 2 gas stations in Oakland. I was about 8 years old, walking through the hallway at about 10 o'clock at night, and I felt someone touch me in my forehead. She said, "What are you doing, young man? Going to get some more cookies?" I said, What are you doing, Grandma? It's 10 o'clock at night. You normally go to bed at 8:30. She said, "What are you doing, young man? What are you doing, young man? Going to get some more cookies?" She had that voice. I said, "Cookies is baby crap, but I'm doing, Grandma. I'm going to get my reparations." But a couple of cookies have been hurt because it's been a long week. I love my grandparents with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure that planes can fly high. So we can all stay safe at night. Always saying develop your mind to its highest extent. Always saying develop your mind to its highest extent. I love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my beautiful brother Todd with that bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning when Todd would speak. A voracious reader. He also chanted Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo. He also chanted as a Buddhist, if that makes sense to you. I love Todd with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. One of our favorite movies was actually Pulp Fiction. And there's a scene that I just can't get out of my mind. It was Vin Rames and Bruce Willis, also Sam Jackson and John Travolta. And it was before the big fight. And Vin Rames told Bruce Willis, he said, "Your butt goes down in the 5th round. Say that step." And so Bruce Willis said, "Okay, my butt goes down in the 5th round." And he told him, "That stinking sensation you feeling, well, that's just pride. Bumping with you." And Vin Rames said to Bruce Willis what a lot of guys need to hear sometime. He said, "Bump pride." He said, "Pride only hurts. It never helps." He said, "A boxing is filled with a lot of unrealistic muddly buckets who think their butt gets better with time like fine wine, but it don't. In terms of vinegar, then it do." He said, "You're going to thank Uncle Marcellus when you're chilling in the Caribbean." And he told him that, but Bruce Willis didn't take the money. He had to get out of L.A. He lost his L.A. privileges. But that was my movie, Todd, our favorite movie. I love Todd with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my beautiful daughter, Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. College graduate, 2 degrees with honors, in 3.5 years from a major university. Daisy helped set up the very first interview for Big C Sports Podcast back in the days of Salem Media. It became the first time in the history of the United States of America that NFL Monday Night Football started broadcasting live on the Wall Street Business Network. Daisy always trusts God, Isaiah 54:17, that no weapon formed against you will prosper. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. You can be anything you want to be. Always, always trust God. I'm so proud of you. I love you with all I have. And then my beautiful, handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College graduate, very smart, erudite, a good man. You can be anything you want to be, Malcolm. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Always trust God, Isaiah 54:17, that no weapon formed against you will prosper. You can be anything you want to be, and you know it. Malcolm helped me save trees. I used to always get newspapers to look up stats for Big C Sports Podcast on players and teams. And one day Malcolm said, Dad, why don't you just Google it? And a light bulb went off. I've been Googling ever since. Now I'm on 29 podcast platforms, streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. One day Malcolm said, Dad, you want to see Big C Sports on TV? I said, sure. He said, pick up the remote, aim it at the TV, and say, play Big C Sports. You'll see your show come up. Well, that's before it was even in the air. Now streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Malcolm, you can be anything you want. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then Big C, with all that wealth of knowledge over the years, like my great-grandparents coming out of that barn with their church buddies always saying, you gotta believe, you gotta believe, you gotta believe, saying, let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. Let's be nominated. Big C Sports Podcast. I have no scripts. I have no 3-way teleprompters. I have no producer in my ear. All I have is this gland in the brain called the pineal gland. The ancients called it the third eye. They say that's how you talk to God. Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo. I'm trying everything. If that makes sense to you, I got to get that $100 million, and I thank God for listening to my chant and listening to my prayers. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I always end my shows by saying, and back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Bourdini Brown. He's known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, he said, you float like a butterfly, and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, oh, you got to use. How can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. And every time I listen to Big C Sports, I want to champion reparations now, reparations forever. And then I float like a butterfly, and I sting like a bee. I love ending every show honoring President Abraham Lincoln, America's 16th president, and the inimitable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He said, reparations at last! Reparations at last! Thank God Almighty! Reparations at last! Reparations at last! Reparations at last! Thank God Almighty! Reparations at last! Say it one more time. Reparations at last! Reparations at last! Thank God Almighty! Reparations at last! Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo. I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day. Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo. Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo.